Hi friends, today I'll be working on a Starburst Granny Square. If you'd like to crochet along with me, go ahead and grab your yarn. I'm only going to be using 2 different colors today. I'm going to be using this pink for the first few rounds, and then I'm going to be using white for the border. You can, of course, use 3 different yarns for the flower and switch colors each row. I'll prompt you on when it's time to switch colors, but again, I will just be using 1 color for mine. I'm going to start with a magic ring. Now you can also chain 4 and slip stitch into the first stitch if you would like to do it that way. And if you look at this bag that I made here, I did this one that way. I chained 4 and slip stitched. But if I were to redo this bag, I would start with the magic ring because it did leave a little bit of a circle in the center, which is just my preference, that I don't love having that open space in the center, which is why I'm going to use the magic ring for my next one. Okay, let's go ahead and do our magic ring. One thing about chaining 4 and slip stitching is that it is a little bit more secure, so that might be better if you are making a bag, but I'm going to secure this end. I'll leave a long tail and I'll secure it in really well. Okay, so we're going to start by chaining 3. The chain 3 is going to be considered a double crochet in this pattern, and then I'm going to be working 15 double crochets into the magic ring. So you have your chain 3 plus 15 double crochets for round 1. Now this pattern is only 4 rounds total, so it is pretty quick. And if you want to make a bag like the one that I have up here, then you'll need 13 squares total. If you want to make something more like a tote bag, like an actual square tote bag, you'll need about 18. Okay, again, let me take stock of where I am. Have our chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, we want to get to 15 double crochets into our magic ring for round 1. Okay. Let me take stock. Again, our chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Need to make 5 more into the center. Hey Britt, how are you? Alexis, I do not currently sell my work. I make a lot of gifts and things like that, but I can't really crochet quick enough to have enough stock to sell. So I do occasionally have like special requests or like people asking me for commission work, and I will do that. But I don't currently list on like Etsy or anything like that. All right, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, last one, 15 into the center. I'm doing well, enjoying the beautiful weather that Richmond's having this weekend. Got a little bit sunburnt yesterday, but other than that, it's good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close my magic ring. So I'm gonna hold my work with my right hand, and I'm gonna pull that tail. Again, the benefit of the magic ring over a chain 4 is so that you can eliminate that circle. So I'm gonna pull it really tight to really cinch that in. Like that. Okay, then I'm gonna find the top of my chain 3 and just slip stitch into that space. And that completes round 1. Now I'm going to make the first 3 rounds in the same color. So I'll be using pink for all 3. You can change colors each round, and I've done that before and it's really beautiful. But I do like the solid colors because it can highlight the texture of the Starburst square a little bit better than when you change colors, although both are really beautiful options. Okay, if you want to change colors, again, you would just cut your yarn here and you would tie on your yarn into any of the double crochets around, and then we'll start round 2 the same way. And that's by chaining just 1, because we're going to be making puff stitches in round 2. So to make a puff stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that first space. So either the space that is at the base of your chain 1 or into the space where you tied on your new color. Yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through. This point you'll have 5 loops, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through. Now you'll have 7. Then you'll yarn over and you'll pull through all 7 loops on your hook, chain 1 to lock it in, and we're going to continue to repeat that around, so you'll have 16 puff stitches. So we're going to be working directly into that next space here. And again, you're working a puff stitch, which is done by yarning over, inserting your hook, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops, yarn over again. You're inserting your hook into that same space, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 5 loops. One more time, yarn over, insert again into that same space, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 7 loops on your hook. So you yarn over, pull through all 7, chain 1 to lock it in. Okay, we'll continue around working puff stitches into the top of each of our double crochets. So again, we will end up with 16 puff stitches around. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yarn over, pull through all 7. Okay. Again, anyone who is just joining, we are working on a Starburst Granny Square. I've got a bag that I made up here, but I've also turned these into blankets before. If you look on my TikTok page and on my YouTube page, I think I have that video both there. I have a giant blanket where I made 120 completely unique squares. Sorry you guys, a motorcycle went by and apparently my dog is very offended by it. But I made 120 unique squares and then sewed them together to make a giant blanket. Oh my goodness, sorry. But there's a lot that you can do with these squares. All right. Okay, again, just working on our puffs. This is what it'll look like so far. Now, what I used up here was a cotton yarn, so the texture is slightly different. I like the cotton for a bag, but I just grabbed some acrylic yarn to do this demo with. So there will be some slight variances just because the yarn will work up slightly different depending on what type of yarn you use. And if anyone's wondering about the bag, I'm using Lovecraft's paint box yarn, and I have Dusty Lilac, Bubblegum Pink, and Wash Teal. Those are my favorite colors. I use them in a lot of my patterns and a lot of my demos and things like that, because it's a good affordable yarn. I like the Special Aran as well as the cotton, and I have a bunch of both. So again, we had our chain 3 and 16 double crochets in round 1, working puff stitches into the top of each of our double crochets. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 4 more to make in this round. Hi Candace, thank you so much. I really love these squares as well. They're my go-to when I'm not sure what to make. Then I like to make these because they're a quick project. They only take about 30 minutes per square. And even if I'm not sure what to do with them at the time, if I make a bunch of squares, I usually figure something out. Again, I've got this bag. I made another bag more in like a square tote bag. I've made blankets, but even something like a pillowcase or even just using them individually as like a coaster or a pot holder would be a really good idea. Okay, now this last space to work into can be a little bit tight, but that should be our 16th puff stitch. And then we are already done with round 2. Once we complete this, there's only 4 rounds total. So this works up really, really quickly. All right, let me just double check just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Perfect. That's exactly where we're supposed to be. I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch into the top of my first puff stitch. And if you want to change colors, then you would just chain 1, cut your yarn, pull it through, and then add on your next color. For me, I'm going to keep the same color on. Now, if you're changing color, when you reattach the new color, you want to pick any of the spaces in between your puff stitches. So you're not attaching it into the top of the stitch like we did when we were adding on our yarn for round 2. You want to use one of the spaces in between your puff stitches. If you're using the same color like I am, then you still want to get into a space that's in between your puffs. So we slip stitch into the top of our puff, but we want to work in the space in between our puffs to work our clusters for round 3. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to slip stitch into that first space in between puffs, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and begin round 3. Kathy said, how can you see this tutorial later? I do have a video on my TikTok page. It does go a little bit quickly, but I will be also uploading this video, this live, onto my YouTube. So if you don't follow me there already, make sure you do. My name is Crochet RVA on YouTube as well. I have a link in my bio, but usually when I go live, I will go ahead and save that video and then upload it onto my YouTube so that you guys can watch it and replay it and pause it as needed as well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start our clusters by chaining 2. And again, we're working into that space in between puffs. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, you'll be back down to 2. Yarn over, insert into that same space, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 4 loops, but you'll yarn over and pull through 2 of them, leaving you with 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert into that same space again, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 5, but you'll yarn over, pull through 2, leaving you with 4. One more time, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through. You should have 6 total, yarn over, pull through 2, leaving you with 5. When you have 5, that's how you know to go ahead, yarn over, pull through all 5, and then you're going to chain 2 to lock it in. So that's your cluster stitch. You're going to be working your clusters in between each of your puff stitches all the way around. And sorry if I'm missing some comments. I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention to my work today. So sorry if I missed some comments. Karen, I see that you joined. Hey neighbor, I hope you're having a fantastic day and that you had a good weekend. Elizabeth, thank you so much for the rose. That's so sweet. Thank you. All right, and again, for anyone who's not as familiar with cluster stitches, the cluster stitches are worked in between your puffs, and you make them by yarning over, inserting your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert your hook into that same space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert again into that same space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then one more time, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll have 5 loops on your hook, so you'll yarn over, pull through all 5, and then chain 2. And we're just working those in between each of our puffs. We'll end up with 16 cluster stitches at the end of round 3. Again, we only have 4 rounds total, so this project works up super quickly. And then I will be switching to white for the next round. Again, you can do any color variation you'd like. You can change colors each round. You could make all 4 the same color. The choices are really endless. Like I said, for this bag, I did them solid, but I made a blanket where I've changed it up. I also made a baby blanket where I changed colors each round. So it really just depends on my mood and the project. But when you make them in a solid color, again, I think that texture is just so pretty and it really highlights each stitch. but when you change colors, the focus is a little bit more on the colors themselves, but that can be, you know, right for the right project. Okay. Again, it's still just working my cluster stitches in between each of my puffs around. Karen, I'm glad you had a good weekend. Guess Monday tomorrow, everyone's back to work, I suppose. I'm dreading it. The weekend went by way too fast, as it always does. Hi, Mystic Warrior. He said, what yarn is that? So the one that I'm using for this is Loops and Thread. I don't even remember what color it is. It's just something I had in my stash for a long time, and that label is long gone. But if you mean these up here, this is Lovecraft's paint box yarn. I've been trying to find some good alternatives. I really love Lovecraft's paint box yarn. I had gotten stuck on Joann's yarn for a while and was making a lot of projects with Big Twists, and that was right before they announced they were closing down. So having to find some good alternatives. If you guys have any alternatives to Joann's Big Twist, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna miss being able to go yarn shopping in store, in person. We have a Michael's, but Michael's isn't quite the same. Not sure if that's gonna completely fill the void of Joann's. Mystic Warrior, you're very welcome. Karen, no, I didn't get any new yarn today. I'm really tempted because Lovecrafts is having a 25% off sale, but I'm trying to make myself use up my existing stock. I have some special Stylecraft Special DK that I'm turning into a hexagon cardigan. And I'm still working on my cat sweater with my Big Twist yarn. And I'm trying to get those done before I do anything else. And then of course I have all those coasters I've been making, and I made that with my existing stash as well. So trying to finish up some of those projects with my existing stash before I buy more, but when it's on sale, it's definitely tempting. All right, still just working my clusters. So for round 1, you'll have a chain 3 and 15 double crochets. For round 2, you'll have 16 puff stitches, and then for round 3, you'll end up with 16 cluster stitches, and we are almost done. The next round, again, we'll be switching to white, and that's gonna be the round where we square in the circle and actually turn it into a square, so you then can connect them to make whatever project you like. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 2 more left. All right. And again, I'll do this last cluster slowly for anyone who's maybe a little bit new to this stitch. And to do the cluster, again, working into this last space here, it can be a little bit difficult to see where to work into, but we're gonna force it in there. We're gonna yarn over, we're gonna insert our hook, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, insert our hook into that same space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And then one last time, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Once you have 5 loops, you'll yarn over, pull through all 5, chain 2 to lock it in. Okay. Then we are going to find the top of our chain 2, slip stitch into that space, and that is going to finish round 3. I'm going to chain 1 and cut my yarn because I will be switching colors for round 4. Again, you can keep the color on, or if you're using like a self-striping yarn or something like that, you would just continue using the same color, but I'm gonna go ahead and switch so that I can use white for my border. Now, if you've followed my lives before, you know my cheat on how I like to weave in my ends, because I hate threading a tapestry needle. So I just use a smaller hook, and I just take my smaller hook and I pull the yarn tail through the back loop of a few of my stitches. And then when I make round 4, I'm going to be crocheting over these ends. So not only am I putting these through the back loop, but I'm crochet overing them to kind of double secure them. And I find this method fine. I've never had it come out. But if you're not a fan of this method, or it's going to be an item that's going to be, you know, maybe washed a lot or used a lot, then maybe you would want to do a more traditional method. But this is just usually how I crochet my ends when I'm doing most sort of granny squares. I use it for this, I use it for my African hexagons, my circle to squares, basically anything that doesn't have too many holes. This is what I do. Okay. If you guys were to make a Starburst Granny, what would you guys do with it? Bag, blanket, or something else? Bags and blankets are usually my go-to, but maybe I need to get a little bit more creative with what I use it for. Okay, now I'm gonna tie my yarn on. It doesn't matter which space you tie it on, as long as it's a space in between one of your clusters. So again, not into the top of any of the stitches, but in between your clusters, but you can pick any cluster to tie it on. Okay. And then same thing I did with the pink tail. Once I tie it on, I'm just going to use my hook, and I'm just going to go in and weave this through the back loops of the next few stitches. Again, you don't have to do it this way. You can weave it in more traditionally if you like that method better. But if you're making, let's say if you're making this bag and you have 13 different squares, then that means you're going to have 4 tails to weave in per 13 squares. So how many is that? 50 some ends to weave in. So this just helps you keep it tidy and keeps you from having a bunch of ends to weave in at the end of your project. Okay. Here we go. All right. So if you tied on a new color, you're going to start where you tied it on. If you are using the same color, you would have slip stitched into the top of a chain 2. So you would just want to slip stitch over so that you can start in a space in between clusters. And no matter which method you did, we're going to start with a chain 4. And that's going to be a triple crochet in this pattern. Then we're going to make 2 more triple crochets into that same space where you tied on your yarn. That's going to be the start of our first corner. So a chain 4 and 2 triple crochets. All right, into your next space, you're going to work 3 double crochets. And so again, we're on this space here. So we would have just made, oh, you can't see, I'm picking the wrong one. We're making a corner here. So we would have made a chain 3 and 2 triple crochets. Now we're working here on our 3 doubles. And to the next, you're going to work 3 half double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And you can see here already how that's starting to straighten out. Again, so you're taking your circle into a square so that you can sew them together to make other projects. All right, working into our next space. And again, we're always going to be working in the spaces in between clusters for each part of round 4. So we'll work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And if you guys are finding this live helpful, please do double tap on the screen to like this video. And if you don't already, make sure you give me a follow both here on TikTok and on my YouTube page as well. Again, I upload a lot of my lives there. So if you're not able to crochet along with me or you just want a refresher, then I will have a video on this uploaded shortly. All right, into our next corner, we're gonna work 3 triple crochets. And this is gonna turn into our second corner. So 3 triple crochets. So far we've been working on this side, but now we want to work on the second side of our square. So to do that, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to work 3 more double crochets into the same space. I'm sorry, triple crochets. I think I might have said double crochets. 3 triple crochets into that same space. And then that's going to make our corner. And that allows us to now work on this side of the square. So basically we're gonna repeat what we did on this side, and into that next space in between clusters, we're gonna work 3 doubles. So you were just about to ask if you were recording because you're so late. Yep, I will absolutely be uploading this onto my YouTube channel for anyone who wants to watch this later. I do also already have a video on my TikTok, but because I only have 10 minutes to film and upload on TikTok, that video does go pretty quickly. So if you're experienced and just kind of need a refresher, that might be good for you. But if you want to do it slow, like we've been doing here, then definitely check out my YouTube video once I have that uploaded. All right, into the next space, we're gonna work 3 half double crochets. And again, if you're not familiar with a half double crochet, you just yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And that's it. Okay. In the next space between clusters, we're gonna work 3 double crochets. And then we're gonna work our next corner into this space here, which same as we did before, that's gonna be 3 triple crochets. Oh, Crystal, Crochet and Coffee, thank you so much for the heart me. And thanks for joining the team, that's so sweet. Okay, so again, we've been working on this side. Now we wanna start working this way. So to do that, we're gonna chain 2, and then work 3 more triple crochets into that same space where we just made our previous 3 triples. We got 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then again, same as we did on the last side, we're gonna repeat that again, work our 3 double crochets in that next space in between clusters. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space are 3 half double crochets. Three doubles in the following space. 1, 2, 3. And then we are going to repeat our corner like we did over here and work 3 triple crochets into that space. Freckle, you said, do you have any videos on how to read patterns? I don't at the moment, but are you asking how to read like stitch abbreviations or just kind of in general? Because that's actually a really good video idea I hadn't considered before, and I'd be happy to make one. Okay. So again, we're on our corner and we're working this way, but we want to finish our last side. I see where my yarn's sticking up a little bit here, so I'm just going to give that a quick snip. Okay. Now to work our last side, we're going to chain 2. Our chain 2 helps us turn our work so that now we can work into the stitch this way. And into that same space where we worked our 3 triple crochets, we're gonna work 3 more triple crochets into that space. You said in general because you always have to watch a video in order to make anything. Okay, no problem. I'll make a video on that and go over maybe the abbreviations and some important things maybe when you're looking at a pattern for the first time. Although there's nothing wrong with watching a video, because that's how I learned as well. I learned from YouTube, you know, 15 years ago. I did learn from some books and things like that as well. But it's okay if you mostly know how to just follow along with the videos, and then learning the stitches and learning the abbreviation and learning the terms will just come with time as well. All right, working into the next space, 3 double crochets. You're very welcome. Again, just a shameless plug. If you don't follow me already, make sure you give me a follow on here. I posted a video this morning on how to make some spring flower coasters that are very beginner friendly. And then I go on live usually Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then I try to go live on the weekends, usually Saturday mornings and sometimes on Sunday afternoons as well. All right, working into the next space, 3 half double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And guys, we are almost done. Working into this last space in between clusters, working 3 double crochets. And then we're gonna end by finishing the corner that we started. So we know we worked all other corners by working 3 triples, a chain 2, and 3 triples. Where we started, we worked a chain 3, which is acting as a triple crochet in this pattern, and then 2 actual triple crochets. So we know we need to finish the other side of that. Now my work is over a little bit, so I'm just gonna scoot those stitches over so that I've got some space to work, and I'm gonna finish that corner by working 3 triple crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. Then you're gonna chain 2. And then find the top of your chain 4, slip stitch into that space. And then we'll go ahead and cut off our yarn. We'll do that by making a chain 1. Snip your yarn, snip it far enough that you have a bit of tail to weave in. Pull it through, and that is it. Now, if your square isn't completely square, that's no problem. You can always block your work. And you would do that by using like a little pegboard, putting it in there, and that will further square it out. So if yours isn't perfectly square, or you have some curling or things like that, don't worry, blocking it should help. And that's it. It's super easy. Again, you can put them together to make a bag like I have here. You can put it together to make a blanket, or honestly a million other things. Christine, you said that looks hard to make. But no, you can do it. I'm pretty sure that you can. Again, I will be uploading this onto my YouTube, so if you just wanted to rewatch it later, needed a refresher, or you weren't able to crochet with me today, then definitely check that out. It takes me a little bit of time to upload that, so give me probably until tomorrow morning. If you guys have any questions, you can always DM me. But thank you all for watching today, and I hope you all have a really great rest of your afternoon. Bye.